To the show. It is Successful Living with Bill Knapik. That's me. And today, a special edition as we have our show partner, Elizabeth Stein, is here today. And that is always a tremendous thing because she is helping so many people on a daily basis in her vast network because she knows everybody. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Bill. Thank you. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Here we are. It seems like it's been a month, but today, let's tell people about who you brought forth today.
Well, we'll start. We have two great guests today. First and foremost, these lovely blondes from 100 Shares, Kathleen in the turquoise and Kathy in the black top. And they're here to tell us everything we don't know and what we need to know about 100 Shares.
In fact, right there, that the name 100 Shares should ring a bell and make people curious to say, I wonder what that is if they don't already know. So let's find out right now. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll start us off.
Kathleen, there she is.
Thank you. Well, 100 Shares Houston, specifically for Houston, is a Christian-based women's organization where we provide financial grants to Christian nonprofits in the Houston area, serving people in need while they proclaim and share the gospel. And the grants, we commit to a minimum of two $50,000 grants or one $100,000 grant per year, hence the number 100. And our goal is to have a minimum of 100 partners who each give $1,000, which $1,000 is a lot of money. But when we can multiply that times 100 women, we then have $100,000. And while $1,000 will do a lot of great things, $100,000 can do, a whole lot of good things. And so that's the purpose of the organization.
Well, tell us how long you have been up and running in Houston, because my understanding is that there are several 100 Shares across the United States. I think maybe there are 7, and how you guys got started here.
Well, we got started in the year 2014, and there were actually 4 ladies who founded the group. 2 of them had a personal connection with someone who was on the board at 100 Shares in Dallas, and they were intrigued by the type of work that they were doing in Dallas and the grants they were giving. 2 other women had heard of 100 Shares and reached out to both the Atlanta and the Dallas chapters to find out how they could get a chapter started here. And the 4 ladies met and they started 100 Shares.
So they mentor between the cities. The parent chapter, if you can call it that, would have been Atlanta.
Correct.
And then you can reach out to them and they will come in and mentor and guide.
So Atlanta is our founding chapter, and they reached out to Atlanta, and the only criteria was that we serve the needy and proclaim the gospel. And so based on that, then they got advice from Dallas on how to, because think about it, they had to build a grant process. They had to put a grant application together. They had to find ministries to send the grant application to. So Dallas was very helpful in getting this organization started.
Very good. Very good.
And for those that might not be driving right now, the website is 100shareshouston.org. That's 100shareshouston.org. And ladies, Kathy and Kathleen, first of all, Kathy, let's tell people your role with the organization.
Okay, well, I am actually the past chair. My role ended at the awards luncheon this past March. And so now I serve more in an advisory capacity. But, I oversaw the whole process last year.
And Kathleen?
And I'm currently serving on the board this year as the director of recruitment, which is helping to recruit new partners. And every year it's a commitment, but we want to have people re-sign up again each year, and then also to reach out and have additional partners, because the more partners we have, the more money we're able to give away. This past year, we were able to give $137,000 away because we had more than 100 partners. So Eyes on Me was our grant recipient this year here in Houston, and they received $100,000. But then we had another $37,000 that we could give our other finalists, which we can explain that process.
So many needs and so many people need help. So many organizations need help. How does that part work?
So, again, we have a somewhat narrow focus in that we support organizations that serve the needy and proclaim the gospel. And so we develop right now we have a letter of intent that's due on June 15th. And so we send that out to previous award winners. We send it out to churches that we have relationships with. And we have a long contact list. National Christian Foundation that administers our charitable giving fund. They help us find prospective ministries. And so we send out our letter of intent. And it just has a way of organically spreading. And organizations find out about it.
And we also are available on social media as well. We have an Instagram page as well as a Facebook page, and so we post information there as well.
But do you have to be reached out to, or can someone go on your website and apply and be vetted through your system? It's not necessarily just by invitation.
No, anyone can apply for the grant, and we have 4 grant criteria. One is they serve the needy. 2, they proclaim the gospel. They have to apply for a grant that expands an existing operation or it starts a new initiative. And the fourth item is that they have to be able to spend the money when the check is given to them.
I like that. It's not sitting around in some bank account somewhere. It's going to work.
We want their project to be done within a year or 2 at the most.
Very nice. Very nice.
I would think also as everything's going up in price too, there's maybe even a pressure to raise more money, right? To be able to get more mileage out of whatever the funds that you're able to get. Everything is going up. Gas.
Absolutely. And the reason to just have more partners, and we're really trying to expand our reach and also just and diversify within our own group to be more representative of the population here in Houston. So even to be a partner, it's open to anyone who would like to go to the website and learn more information and donate.
And again, the website is 100shareshouston.org. That's 100shareshouston.org.
So if you grant to an organization this year, can they reapply next year, or do you have a waiting period between applications?
So if they receive the primary grant, then they have to, it used to be 2 years, they had to wait for 2 years, and since we're entering our second decade, we've now extended that to 3 years.
Okay.
But, for example, as Kathleen mentioned, we had 3 other finalists, and they did receive some money, about $12,500. They can reapply next year because they weren't the primary recipient of the grant.
As far as the grant recipients, what kind of feedback do you get after they receive the grant, maybe sometime down the road? What do you hear back? That must be an exciting part of the...
One of the awesome things, part of our process, we to the winner, we present the check at a luncheon the beginning of March, and the winner for that year speaks. But then we also invite the previous winner or winners to come back and give us an update on what's taken place with the money that they received the year before. And it's always been very rewarding to see the impact that has been made by these grants.
That's the word I was looking for, impact.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And there's so much of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing is we require, if you receive the primary grant from us, that you submit progress reports. So the ministry submits a progress report in the fall and then one in the spring, so we have an idea of how things are progressing. Because, we feel as a board that we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that, the money is being spent for specifically what the grant was intended for.
Well, and the beauty of this is your overhead is minimal and you're putting all the dollars to work.
That is correct.
Absolutely. All $100,000 goes to the ministry to help them in their initiative. And the other part, we do get quite a few applicants, but there's always room for more. And the letter of intent we mentioned is due June 15th. So the timing of this is perfect to get the word out to any ministries who might be interested. They can go onto our website, at 100shareshouston.org and fill out a simple letter of intent. And then we will get back to them by July 15th, because that's just to help know whether or not they meet the basic criteria. So they don't have to go through a lot of additional work. It's kind of an initial screening process. And then we narrow it down to 4. And then in the fall, we have a coffee where we invite all of our partners, and the 4 finalists present for about 7 minutes about their organization and how the money, whether it's the $50,000 or the $100,000 that they're requesting, will impact their organization. And then the beginning of the following year, so January 2024, we will then go on site with our partners to each one of our 4 finalists and spend 1 hour touring their facility, listening to a presentation, whatever it is that they would like to share with us at that opportunity. And then there's a lot of time going back and asking questions of these organizations. The wonderful thing about 100 Shares that I've noticed is that the amount of prayer and discernment that is used in evaluating the different organizations for the grants is incredible, because $1,000 is a lot of money that people are entrusting us with, and we want to make sure that we're being really good stewards of that money. And so then we have our 4 finalists, and then we have a vote, and then that's where we come up with our winner, and then we present at our celebration luncheon.
I felt comfortable when I first joined, donating $1,000, but I was amazed when I got on the board to see the rigor that goes into evaluating these grants. And I mean, these grants are scrubbed. And when I talk to people about joining 100 Shares, that is a huge selling point, knowing that they have been, we've had at least, before we even get to the coffee, we've had at least one board member visit every single ministry, because you learn a lot when you are actually at the ministry. And then every board member reviews every single grant that are applied, and they're thick applications.
Mm-hmm. One of the beauties of what I've enjoyed about the organization is in Houston, there are a lot of great organizations out there doing amazing things, and most of these organizations I would have never had a clue about had I not been a part of 100 Shares. So some of the women may find to learn a little bit more about an organization, and even though they may not be the finalist or the winner, someone may fall in love with that organization and then go on and serve in their organization. So
I was reading about some of that on the site with some of the organizations that people ultimately said, I'm going to go volunteer and help them because they're such a needy and worthy organization. What are some of the most interesting? I mean, reading, obviously there's some things that certain ministries that you hear about with education, Christianity, children, but there are others, for example, that are people coming out of prison or human trafficking, or just some of those that are not as publicized, and you feel like the impact that you've made on them was significant?
Absolutely. Actually, if you go to our website, 100shareshouston.org, there is a 6-minute video.
I saw
and
it.
3 of our ministries are profiled on that. And it sounds silly, but I tear up every time I watch the video.
They're very special.
They are very special. And, it's inspirational, the work that these organizations are doing. And for our members, it allows you to donate to a ministry that you might not ordinarily do. And for example, Eyes on Me was our grant recipient this year, and I had never heard of them. They are a group that mentor and disciple youth that are at risk and their families. And they asked for a $100,000 grant to take their Greens Point Center. It's a community center, and they were moving to a larger site, and they wanted to build it out. And as part of that, they teach these youth ages 10 to 18 skills, such as T-shirt design, decorating shoes, and they're expanding to teach other skills like carpentry. They were telling us that they have young men that don't know how to use a ruler, don't know what a fraction is. And these individuals are most likely not even going to go to community college. But at their Brookshire facility, they're teaching them carpentry skills, plumbing, electrical. And so with the money that we donated to Eyes on Me, they're putting similar type of educational equipment at their Greenspoint location. And I love what they say. Greenspoint has become Guns Point, and they want to turn it into God's Point.
Wow. Yeah. That's great.
We're talking with Kathy Bennett, Kathleen Pennington. They're with 100 Shares, an organization. The website is 100shareshouston.org. And, of course, the wonderful Elizabeth Stein. Elizabeth, this is fascinating as we find ways to help. So let's tell people, Kathy and Kathleen, of all the things you could be doing, what was it about? Let's say, Kathy, what brought you into the organization to begin with, again, of all the different things you could do to help here in Houston?
How did I find out about it?
How did you find out?
I was actually playing tennis with someone I hadn't met before, and we're picking up tennis balls, and she starts telling me about the organization. Yeah. And that's how I found out about it. It's very word of mouth. And, one of my goals last year as chair was to get the name out more into the community. Because as Kathleen said, the more members we have, the more money we can give out.
And I also found out through a friend. And so that's why today is so wonderful to have the opportunity to just get the word out to others. And it's just nice to be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Yep.
Bigger than my $1,000, and just to see, it's very rewarding to see the impact that's being made and the change that's happening.
It's you read so much gloom and doom in the news. You hear
Too
about
much.
Exactly, and when you see the work that these ministries are doing, for example, at our coffee every year, I walk out from that coffee inspired when I've heard what these 4 ministries are doing to help the needy in our Houston community.
Do you find moving forward or in reflection that you've had much attrition from the first year? Or do you see that people stay with it and it keeps growing?
We probably have about, since this is, we're entering our second decade, we probably have about 40% of the members who were part of the first year. Mm-hmm. And so every year, we're adding new members. We have some members that drop out. It could be they've moved to another city, or, they have something that precludes them from joining again.
Mm-hmm.
But we have fairly good retention. And the exciting thing for this year is that this is our 10th year. And with our gift this last year, we went over the $1 million mark.
Wonderful.
So we're celebrating
exceptional.
over $1 million given here in the city of Houston. So
what's your goal? What's your goal in your new role as membership and
unlimited opportunities, right?
Okay.
Well, I'll say the Dallas 100 Shares group has 150 members, and there is no reason why Houston shouldn't be larger than Dallas. I mean, it's a point of pride in the state of Texas. I mean, the largest chapter's in Atlanta, and they have 250 members.
So our goal would be to be the number 1 chapter, obviously.
That's a great goal to have. Mm-hmm. That's a great long-range plan, and you can do it.
Absolutely.
You can do it.
Once again, we're talking with Kathy Bennett and Kathleen Pennington, along with Elizabeth Stein. Well, ladies, before we close the segment, we have a few minutes left. But what else do you want people to know about the organization, Kathy?
I want people to know that it's open to anyone. It's anyone who is willing to make the donation. And I just want them to know that, as Kathleen said, $1,000 is a lot of money to give to an organization. But when you can multiply that by 100 times, you can have a significant impact on a organization. And the other thing is, exactly where your money is going. We'll be able to see the equipment or hear about the equipment that has been installed at Eyes on Me. So I really, in terms of, when it comes to philanthropy, I like to know that it's local, that the money is being spent well, and I like to be able to see the results.
Well, I would just like to say, a lot of times people say, well, they're just too busy to get involved. Everyone's too busy. And the nice thing about 100 Shares is it doesn't take a lot of time. And you can, spend as much time with the organization if you decide to join the board later on. But really just to come to a coffee, hear short presentations, hear about these ministries, and then go to the site visits and come have a fun lunch where we're, giving, $100,000 to ministries. it really doesn't require a lot of time. And so that's why I think it is open to a lot of people in that way.
We have many members who just donate because they feel comfortable with the grant process that we have.
And like what you said, Kathleen, people say, oh, I don't have time. I hate when people tell me how busy they are, because you know what? We're all busy.
We're all
don't
busy.
Don't tell me how busy you are, but we have all the same amount of time, and it's a matter of what's important, how do we determine that time. So, yeah. So if you're busy, we're all busy. But we make room for the important things in life and about giving back. And that's one of I think the great things about Houston, since I've been here many decades, is one of the great things is, we have a lot of challenges along the way. People, I don't know how many people are moving in a day. I forget the number. But there's a lot of good people here and a lot of people that want to help the community and what's around.
And also for the listeners that this is new to, which obviously they're going to be a big portion of you that it's new to, you are a 501c3.
Actually, we're a charitable giving fund.
You're a charitable giving fund.
That is correct. And our giving fund is administered by National Christian Foundation. And we chose not to be a 501c because we are a 100% volunteer organization. And if you are a 501c3, then you have to issue receipts. You have to file a 990. National Christian Foundation does all of our accounting for our charitable fund, and we pay a very minimal amount.
That is great to know. I didn't even realize that was an option in terms of people's giving and reporting of their giving. So that's wonderful.
So for anybody that wants to help or where you would talk to them about the presentation, you mentioned that's all on the website?
That is correct.
And that is 100shareshouston.org.
You can sign up to be a partner on the website, and there's more information.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Kathy Bennett, Kathleen Pennington. Thanks for being with us, ladies.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break and come back.